like 10. I'm like an early riser. I usually go to bed at 10, went to bed around 12, 12:30. I woke up at 4 with this epiphany, and I'm like, I need to add this to the training. I need to add this to the training because yesterday they didn't understand this, so I need to redo this. So I've been in here all day like a mad scientist. Who's ready to actually acquire some skills today? Because we're going to bring some of that for you. And last night on the VIP session, they're like, hey, how do we get involved in your training? Like, the 5-day thing is cool, but man, like, what about next week? What about next month? What about next year? Like, how do I keep learning? Like, I don't want to sell less, I want to sell more. So, it reminds me because last night before I went to sleep, I was watching a lot of your Facebook lives. I even watched several. There was probably another 100 people that tagged me on Instagram and was sharing stories there. And it took me back to when I first got into sales like you. I was 21 years old. I was going into my senior year in college. I'm a senior in college. And I remember I just got married. I had a kid on the way, my beautiful daughter, Cami, who's now 23, graduated from Arizona State University here. And I remember I had all this anxiety all the time because I just couldn't sell those first like 2 or 3 months. I was horrible. And I'm like, oh crap, I just got married. I've got a kid. What am I going to do? I had to drop out of baseball because I played college baseball. I had to drop out of baseball. I had to provide somehow while I was still going to school. And I would remember I'd even make a sale on a Friday night. And I remember on Sunday night, you know what I was doing? I was like, oh my gosh, please don't cancel. Please don't cancel. It was like praying that they wouldn't cancel. And half the time they would Monday morning when I walked into the office. Anybody been in my shoes when I first started? You know what I'm talking about? Type in me if you know what I'm talking about. You see, here's the thing that changed everything for me that I know will change everything for you. When you acquire the right skills, it helps you do what? Well, it helps you make far more sales than you make now. Yes or no? Yes or no? When you acquire skills higher than you have now, does it make you more sales? Yes or no? Type in yes or no in the chat. I want to see what you guys say. Okay, I'm in the right room. I wanted to make sure. Now, making more sales, making more money, let me give you a warning. It doesn't give you happiness. It just gives you far more options in your life to help more people and fulfill what you want to do. But it doesn't give you happiness. It gives you options. It allows you to be present with your family. Type in me if you want to be present with your family at night because you don't have the stress you have now, right? It allows you to help your extended family that might need money from you for an emergency that you can't help now that you want to. It allows you to help the church maybe that you go to or the charities that you love that you can't help, because without having those skills, without acquiring those skills, you can't what? You can't do those things right now. Now, yesterday, Anthony, we made a poll. Do we have the results of that poll? We did a poll about, how much money you felt. Now, this is you guys. It's not us telling it. You guys told us how much money you feel you are losing every single year because you just don't have the plan. You don't have the right plan. You don't have the right questions for your industry. You don't understand tonality fully. You don't know how to use your body language and objection prevention and pre-framing and looping. You haven't learned those skills yet. Notice I said yet. 250,000 plus of you. Look at that here. I don't know all the stats here, but wow, a lot of you losing up to 50,000 a year. Some of you losing up to 100,000 a year, you said. A lot of you losing 150,000. Some of you losing 250,000 or more a year or more. But the question that we have to ask is, are you against getting those skills that you need to get to the next level? Are you against learning those skills? Yes or no? Are you against learning those skills? Yes or no? Type in the chat, yes or no. Okay. Now, remember what we covered so far. Let's go over what we went over yesterday. A couple days ago. Day one, we went over the 3 steps to becoming a top 1% salesperson in your industry, so your prospects look at you as the authority that they trust. Day two, We covered the formula, the 3-step formula to overcome your prospect's objection. I even gave you a lot yesterday. Who was on here yesterday? Type in day 2, where you learn pre-framing to prevent objections from happening. We also went over, I don't have the money. I need to think it over. Can you send me references? I saw negative reviews about your company online. Can you give me a proposal? I need to do this myself. Can you call me back later? I need to pray about it. I need to do more research. Now, what we're going to cover today is this: why your sales script or framework that your company or some guru, and I love your company, maybe we're even starting to train your company now, but whatever you're using that you've been forced to use is triggering sales resistance because of certain words you've been taught to use and questions you're asking that are actually causing the very objections you hate getting. Everybody with me? So what we're going to do today is show you the right words to use. We're going to show you the tweaks. We're going to show you the right questions to use instead, and how to use your tone so you can change all that today. Who's ready for that? Type in me if you're ready to start changing your ball game. Okay, now a lot of you have been asking in the chats as well, because I've seen this. You're like, Jeremy, where did you develop NEPQ? Was it all these books behind you? Was it the 400 plus sales training programs you went through? Was it your studies in behavioral science and human psychology in college? Well, a lot of it was all those things. But I developed NEPQ for my behavioral science, human psychology, and social dynamic background in college. And I really focused on 2 main people. And write these 2 people's names down. I want to see if you recognize these 2 people. Socrates, anybody heard of Socrates? And also Jesus Christ himself. Socrates and Christ. Now, do you feel that those 2 people were somewhat persuasive? Yes or no? You see, they didn't tell people what they should do. They didn't push or pressure people and tell them what they need to do. They asked easy to answer questions that got their prospects to think, and most importantly, internalize their situation, and why they kept allowing the same problems from happening, why they kept allowing it to happen. They also got them to see and feel what their future would look like once the newfound problems were solved. We call that their objective state. Would we be right from the writings we have from them? Now, today I'm going to give you an outline of those questions. Today I'm going to give you several industry-specific examples. I'm going to give you generic examples as well, so you can plug in your space. Now, I will tell you all the real questions for almost every sales situation you're ever going to be in. They are in our virtual training programs. A lot of you have been asking about, like, hey, how do I get involved in your training for the next year, 2 years? How do I do that? These are all in our virtual training programs. Lots of clients that we have. Many of them are in the same industry you are watching me right now. Now, I do want to ask you this question. I want you to think about this. Which kind of persuasion is the most powerful and persuasive in your mind? When your prospect feels so much internal tension from your questioning ability and your tone that they feel it's way less riskier for them to change your situation by buying what you're offering? Or is it more persuasive when you try to tell them why they should buy what you're offering? Which is more persuasive, when you push and pressure them and tell them why they need to change, or when you get them to tell you why they need to change? Which is more persuasive? I think you know the answer to that by now. You see, there's a big difference between what we call internal tension and external sales pressure. Write that down. Do you know what the difference is? Let me give you an analogy here. External sales pressure tends to wear off. Okay, it's the equivalent of going to a motivational seminar. Type in me if you go to motivational seminars, like personal development. I love those. You get pumped up by the speakers, right? But when you get home, what starts to happen? It starts to wear off, right? Because when you're there, you're all jacked up. I'm going to change the world. But 3 days later, you're back to where? Your old way of thinking. And nothing really changes. That's why so many sales that you're making now, because you're externally persuading them, you're pressuring them, cancel on you, charge back, ask for refunds, because you externally persuaded them and pressured them. Now that you're gone, the pressure wears off, and then they want to cancel. Do you see the difference there? Okay? You see the difference in what I'm talking about there. Oh, I lost my vibe board. We can't lose the vibe board. I'm going to use that today. All right, now let's go ahead and share that NEPQ sales structure again. Beth, can you pull up that structure? All right, now this is what we're going to cover today. Okay, this is the NAPQ chart. Write this down. This is very important what I'm about to cover with you. Connection questions are the first thing I'm going to show you. Now, connection questions get your prospects into results-based thinking quickly over price or cost-based thinking, and they also help disarm your prospect. Remember I showed you some disarming techniques the last 2 days to get them to let them guard down? So you're gonna use connection questions whether you call outbound leads, or you have inbound leads, or you talk in person, or you sell door to door, or you're in a boardroom meeting, or even if you're on Zoom or virtually, it doesn't matter, even on the phone. So what I'm gonna do with you is I'm gonna give you 3 very powerful connection questions that you can use right at the start of any sales conversation you're in, okay? Now, who wants to know exactly what questions to ask from the very first words out of your mouth? Who wants to know that? Okay, you all want to know that for your industry. Now, do we have time to show you every single connection question for every single industry on here? Well, Anthony, we could do it for about the next what? I think we timed it out that it would take us about, I want to say about 65 days. So if you guys are okay with staying on here for 65 days, we can do that, okay? I'm just joking. I'm going to give you some examples. Now, I will tell you, though, I'm not joking on this. The cost of not understanding how to ask connection questions with the right tonality is when you start out a call with phrases like, hey, my name is Jeremy, I'm with ABC Company, and hey, the reason why I called you today was, or hey, John, it's John Miller from XYZ Company, hey, how's your day going? Or do you have 2 minutes I can share with you about my XYZ solution? What immediately goes through most people's minds when they hear those type of questions? Salesperson, right? Trying to sell me something. So it triggers what's called sales resistance in your prospect's mind, fight or flight mode. Now, why is that? Because doesn't every single salesperson that sells anything say pretty much the exact same thing when they make a sales call? Would I be right there? Okay. So let me give you an example of some connection questions if you're calling leads, all right? Or maybe someone responded to an ad on social media like Facebook. They put in their name, email, phone number. Now, this would be an example of what we call outbound leads, all right? So write this down. Now, I'm going to give you an industry-specific example so you can see the formula on how this actually works, okay? Is everybody ready? Now, even if this is not your industry, because we've got 161 industries on here, which we train all of your industries. I can't show you everyone's. Even if it's not your industry, what can you learn from what I'm about to show you? You can learn the framework. You see, you can learn frameworks and principles to help you tie in what you sell. So in this example, let's say you sell high ticket. Let's say you sell or business consulting to business owners. Type in high ticket if you're in the high ticket industry, or if you sell any type of consulting to businesses. Maybe you help scale their companies, or you help them build better systems or operations or better branding or better marketing. Maybe you're a marketing agency. Those are all huge industries we train. So this example, like I said, would be an example of an outbound lead, somebody who responded the same day or maybe the day before. It's more like a brand new lead, all right? You ready for this? Yeah, is Jane there? Yeah, Jane, hey, it's Jeremy, Jeremy Miller with ABC Company. You asked us to call you back. It looks like you responded to an ad on Facebook. I think it was this morning about possibly getting help with scaling your business, right? Now, let me do that again I gotta get warmed up here, Anthony. Yeah, is this Jane? Yeah, Jane, hey, it's Jeremy, Jeremy Miller with XYZ Company. You asked us to call you back. It looks like you responded to an ad this morning on Facebook about possibly getting help with like growing and scaling your company, right? Now, you want me to break down what I just did there? Because if I called aged leads that are weeks or months old, we would obviously have to tweak that opener, okay? We teach all the different tweaks in our virtual training program for clients, all right? Now, let me break it down. You want me to break it down for you? Let's take a look at the first connection questionnaire. Do you see how I'm already getting them into results-based thinking rather than price-based thinking from the first question? What's the end result if you sold business consulting or business coaching to a business? What are you selling? You're selling them what? How to scale the business so they can what? Make more profits. Make more revenue. That's what you're selling. So at the end here about possibly getting help to scale your business, right? Nobody's going to say, no, I don't want to scale my business because they responded to the ad. You see what I'm doing there? Now, what type of tone did I just use there? Yeah, it's Jeremy, Jeremy Miller with XYZ Company. You asked us to call you back. Now, why would I say you asked us to call you back? Well, if they put in their name, email, phone number, they know that someone is calling them back. They just might not know who or when that's actually going to happen. Is everybody starting to get this? Now, why would I use that familiar tone? It's Jeremy Miller with XYZ Company. Why would I use a familiar tone? What does that actually do? Because what would it sound like if I did this? Hey, Jane, it's Jeremy Miller with ABC Company. You asked us to call you back. It looks like you responded to an ad yesterday on Facebook about getting help with scaling your business, right? Oh, that sounds really weird, like a telemarketer. Or like, how about this? Hey, how's it going? It's Jeremy Miller. I'm so excited to call you. You responded to an ad about getting help with starting and running your business, right? It's a little bit, whoa. Yeah, it's Jeremy Miner. You asked us to call you back. Now, has anybody ever got a call from somebody and they're like, hey, John, it's Amy. Amy Smith, how you doing? And you're like, I'm doing good. And in your mind, you're like, who's Amy Smith? Who's Amy Smith? Who's Amy Smith? Did I go on a date with her? Did I meet her somewhere? I should know her. You would dare not say, who is this? Because it sounds like Amy already knows who you are. Do you see what we're doing here? See, do we want to work with human behavior rather than against it? Would that help you sell more if you could learn how to work with human behavior rather than work against it? Okay, now let's show you an example of the inbound leads. All right, there's obviously tweaks to all of this depending on your industry. We show these in our virtual training program, okay? Now, Anthony, let's role play. You want to be the prospect here real quick?
Let's do it. And really quickly, there's still some people on Facebook. So the 30 somewhat of you listening to us on Facebook, we are ending the Facebook stream in 30 seconds. Click on the link in the chat that the team just posted. Get on over to the Zoom. Otherwise, you're going to miss out.
Yeah. All right, now Anthony, keep your video off. I want to show you guys something. Everybody get on Zoom every once in a while, and the prospect has their video off. How do you get them to get their video on? Because you want to kind of see and hear what they're doing, right? Okay. All right. Welcome to the call, Anthony. All right. So can you hear me, Anthony?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. And can you see me? I can't see you. Is your video broken?
I just got it off.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, I can't see you at all. What's okay. Going on over there? Are you in your pajamas at 3:30 p.m. or what's going on?
That's all right. I'll turn it on. Can you see me now?
Okay. I just want to make sure you got your makeup on and everything.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, I want to make sure. All right. So it looks like you booked on your calendar about looking at possible ways to lock in your rate and maybe lower your power bill, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, now in this example, what I just showed you, solar. Let's say if you sold solar. Okay, so it looks like you booked on the calendar about looking at possible ways to maybe lock in your rate and lower your power bill, right? See how I'm instantly getting them into results-based thinking if that's what I'm selling? Okay, now Anthony, when you went through the ad where they were talking about like the rate hikes that Edison was making you guys pay, what was it besides that? What was it that they were kind of going over that caused you to, maybe want to look into this further?
Yeah, I've just been looking at this for a while, and as you said, they just keep raising the rates, and just want to learn more about what we can do to solve that.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest reason why homeowners come to us for sure. All right, let's stop. Now, why would I ask that second connection question? Hey, when you went through the ad where they were talking about XYZ, what was it that they were going over that caused you to want to maybe look into this further? Why would I paste that question out? What would it sound like if I talked fast? Hey, when you went through the ad on Facebook, what was it they were talking about that attracted your attention? Oh, I don't know. Just want to see what you're doing. See, when you ask questions too fast, you give your prospect no time to internalize what you're asking. Is everybody with me on this? Okay. So when they have no time to internalize that, you get knee-jerk surface level answers. But when I verbal pace the question out, that forces your prospect to what? To think deeper about what you're saying. Everybody with me on this? Yes or no? Okay. Now I'm going to go into, this is what's called a NEPQ status frame. In this example, let's say you sell solar again. Yeah, and Anthony, really this first call, it's pretty basic. It's really more for us to find out, about your usage and kind of what type of rate hikes they've been making you pay compared to maybe what you're trying to get your bill down to, just to kind of see what that gap looks like. And then towards the end of the call, if you feel like, hey, this might be what you're looking for, we can talk about possible next steps. Would that help you? Okay. Now, do you want me to break down what I just did there? I did a lot of things there. Now, look at my hands. Why would I use my hands and do all this stuff? Now, if I'm on the phone, am I still going to use my hands? Yes, because it affects my what? My body language affects my tone, okay? The first call, it's pretty basic. Why would I downplay it? What's my first job to do? I showed you yesterday. I have to get them to let their guard down. So I'm downplaying it like it's not a big deal. I want to get their guard down. The more excited you are in the beginning when you don't have much trust, the guard goes up. They know what you're doing. It's more for us to find out your usage, what type of rate hikes they've been making you pay. Why would I say making you pay? Nobody likes to what? Be made or forced to do anything, right? See how I'm already positioning myself between them and the power company. See how I'm doing that? Rate hikes have been making you pay. See this? Now, I don't want to say rate hikes have been making you pay right here, because that doesn't seem like much. Rate hikes have been making you pay compared to maybe what you're trying to get the bill down to kind of see what that gap looks like. Now, what did I visually just seed in their brain? That there's already a gap. You see what I'm doing here? Now, why would I do this? Why would I use neutral languaging here at the end? Might be and possible next steps. Why wouldn't it be more assumptive? Why wouldn't I say, and at the end of the call, if I feel you're a good fit for us, I'll show you how to get started. Fair enough? Because if I'm too assumptive too early, before I have trust or credibility, some will say, well, I didn't say I'm ready to do anything. I'm just still looking around. And now I just triggered what? The wall. And now you're selling against the wall resistance. Why not learn how to sell against no wall? Is it easier to sell when they're not guarded? I think you know what I mean by there. Okay, now, there's other connection questions you have to ask depending on your industry, all of those in our client virtual training portals. In our portals, we teach you all connection questions for inbound leads, outbound leads, people put on your calendar, door-to-door, cold calling, in-person meetings in the office, on Zoom, board maker, it doesn't really matter. As well as how to pre-frame even the first few questions to drastically reduce the I want to think it over and let me talk to my spouse objections. Who would want to learn that? Pre-framing. All right, let's go into situation questions, all right? Now, situation questions, we got to fly today, help you find out what their real situation is. Now, you typically are going to ask about 3 or 4 of these questions in the opening, depending on your industry. Some industries, like B2B, like especially if you sell on the enterprise level that I did as well, you might even ask 5, 6, or 7 situation questions. Now, the consequence of not knowing what situation questions to ask for your industry is you never really understand what the prospect's real situation is. You just accept what they tell you on the surface. And worst, your prospect doesn't really understand what their real situation is. Because if you can't help the prospect find out what their real situation is, how do you build a gap to where they want to go if they don't really know where they're at right now? That would be hard for me to do as one of the top salespeople in the world, according to the Direct Selling Association, okay, back in my day. Because if you can't help them, that means there's no sale, all right? Now, I'm going to give you a few industry-specific examples for each stage of this. Now, once again, I love you because you're like, please give me an example from my industry. Please, logistics, staffing, recruiting. I love you guys, all right? Look, we already trained your industry. You wouldn't be on here if we didn't. We train 161 different industries. If I showed you examples for every stage, we literally would be on here for over 4,700 hours. I think that's what AI told us, all right? Now, let's go to the next slide. What industry did I pick here? Drum roll. Okay, let's say if you sold IULs. Type in IULs or life insurance or financial advisory if you were in those industries right now. Life insurance is the biggest industry we train in the world. Financial advisory firms, that's probably one of the top 20 now. Thousands in this industry we train that are crushing it. Now, Anthony, are you ready to role play with me, brother?
I am ready.
Okay, now I want everybody, these are asked right after connection questions. I want everybody to pay attention to how the conversation feels for you. Does it sound scripted, even though I'm reading from a script because I don't sell in this industry, or does it sound conversational? Okay, so Anthony, can you walk me through like what type of retirement strategies you have, like 401k, 403b, or where are you, I guess, putting your money to make sure you're going to be able to retire on time?
Yeah, I've got a 401k through work and I think a Roth RIA.
And how long have you had those for? Just so I understand.
Hmm. Well, I started work here 8 years ago, and I think I opened the Roth, it has to be 15, 16 years ago at my other job.
Oh, you did. Okay. And are you actively contributing to that still?
Yeah, my 401k comes out automatically, and I put around 300 a month into the Roth.
Okay. And what percentage does your employer match on that?
They match, I think, 4% or so.
Oh, okay. And what made you go, I guess, that direction over, say, a different option?
Probably just more out of convenience. And yeah, like I got the Roth to have something that would save me on taxes a bit later on.
I see. And what type of percentage return did it bring in for you last year?
I think around 6%.
Oh, only 6%. That's, I mean, it's fairly decent. What was it, 2023 ballpark?
Mm, I'd have to look, but yeah, I don't think it was much more than this year.
Well, if you really thought about it, what would it be specifically? If you really thought about it.
Yeah, it was probably like, I don't know,
Mm.
5, 6%.
Okay. Now you mentioned you're 40 earlier. What age do you feel like you need to retire?
67 is
Okay.
is what I want to retire for
Okay.
sure.
And that's okay. And what age do you well, is that your humble goal, or what age do you really want to retire? Like if you had the right plan in place, like what age would you really want to retire if if you could?
I mean, if I could speed that up to my early 60s, like, I don't know, maybe 60, 61.
You're talking about a 6 year gap. What would you do with the 6 years though, if you were able to retire early? I'm not saying we could do that yet, but if we could, what would you do with the 6 years?
Oh, well, that'll be that'll be awesome. I'd be able to just travel more.
Would you? Okay, let's stop there.
Yeah.
Now, I would definitely clarify and probe more. Now, what did that feel like to you? Did that feel scripted or conversational? Scripted or conversational? Type it in the chat. Scripted or conversational? It obviously it felt conversational. Why? Because I was bridging using verbal cues. Did everybody understand what I just did there? Can I show you? Do you want me to show you something right here? This is called verbal cues. We're bridging from question to question. All right. Did you hear him like, oh, and how long ago did you actually get that raid? Oh, really? What caused you to go with that raid? Oh, right before each question I asked. Okay. And then see, I'm bridging from question to question. This is called bridging. Okay. Because most salespeople, they get to the end of the question and they're like, okay, cool. Gotcha. John, I'm curious. Let me ask you. And what does that sound like? Scripted. It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like they're having a conversation with like their best friend. But see, when it sounds conversational, your prospects do what? Their guard is down, so they open up. Who wants to learn that? You see where we're at here. Who wants to learn how to get your prospects to start opening up rather than shutting down? If your prospects are shutting down, that means you sound what? Scripted. Okay. Are you with me on this? Okay. All right. I'm just making sure. All right. Let's go to the next section, problem awareness. All right. Now, let's say I'm still in that same industry. Let's say I'm a financial advisor and I lean in. I mean, 6%. I mean, those are fairly decent returns you're already getting. I mean, what's caused you to feel like that's not going to be enough to retire by 61 though? I mean, those are fairly decent returns you're getting, Anthony. What's caused you to feel like that's not going to retire you by 61? Now, why would I ask that question? Why not say, well, what problems are you having with your plan? See, your prospects know where that question leads. They know what you're trying to do. So they're like, oh, well, it's pretty good. No complaints. And they shut down. But see how I'm flipping the script. See how I flip the script here. I mean, see how I'm pushing them away to get them to what? Tell me why what they have will not get them where they want to go. And now they start to sell themselves. See how I'm getting them to do all the work rather than me do all the work. Why would you want to do all the work? I mean, those are fairly decent returns that you're already getting. What's caused you to feel like that's not going to be enough to retire? Well, they are pretty good, Jeremy, but the reason why I'm looking is, and now the old plan is bye-bye. You see where we're going at this? Oh, let's go to the next slide. Let's go to a different industry, right? Let's say if you sold staffing, you work for a staffing agency, a recruiting agency. Type in staffing or recruiting if you're in that industry, or you're a network marketer, or you do placement opportunities. We train tons of companies in this industry. So in this example, let's say I'm a recruiter talking to an individual consumer, all right? Okay, what do you do for work? What do you do for a living, John? Uh-huh. Okay, and how long have you been actually doing that for? Now, that would make sense. If I'm a recruiter, I'm finding out what their real situation is, which would be what they do for a living right now. Now, there's 3 or 4 other situation questions you'd have to ask after that, and we train all those in our virtual courses, all right? Now, let's go to the next one. Let's say you sell SaaS. Type in SaaS if you sell SaaS. This is the 7th largest industry we train in the world now. And let's say you sell a SaaS platform for recruiting truck drivers, okay? Anthony, why don't you go ahead and be the prospect here? Trucking companies, they post for drivers on Indeed. They get a lot of flaky applicants. They get hired. 2 weeks later, they quit after they get their license. And then the truck gets parked in the parking lot and the company loses tens of thousands of dollars a day because they can't deliver the goods. And I have a platform, let's say, that solves that weeds out the flaky candidates, only gives me the best ones. You see what we're doing here, okay? All right, so Anthony, what do you guys do now to recruit drivers, just so I understand?
We use Indeed to post and get candidates through there.
Oh, how long have you been using Indeed for?
Yikes, probably 2 years or so, give or take. We use a few others as well.
Okay, and how many drivers are you currently hiring a month on average using Indeed?
On average, between 7 to 8.
Oh, you're just getting 7 or 8. How many drivers do you feel like you need to hire, though, like if you could?
Well, if we could like hire double, that would be pretty good for us.
Now, is that your humble goal, or how many do you really want to hire, like if you could, so you could scale?
Well, I mean, to hit our projections, we're going to need probably 20 drivers.
See what we're doing there, okay? Now, step number 3, let's keep going here. Problem awareness questions. These are probably one of the most important to know. You ask these right after situation questions. They help open up the emotional door, all right? Remember, what are the 2 biggest emotional drivers that causes a human being to want to change? Do you remember what I said? Pain and the fear of future pain. If we can't help them relive their pain and have a fear of future pain, they feel no what? They feel no urgency to change. And that's why you get tons of objections, and that's why they don't buy from you, even though you could solve their problems. That's why you keep getting all those objections, like, I need to think it over, your price is too high, let me keep looking around. We're triggering that because we don't know the questions to ask to get them to sell themselves. Let's go to that next slide there, Beth, about cybersecurity. So let me give you a few examples of different problem awareness questions for different industries, all right? Let's say that you sold cybersecurity to banks or companies. We train lots of reps and companies in this space. Beth, let's keep going down to the next slide, okay? Cybersecurity is probably one of the top 25, 30 industries we train. Let's go to that next slide. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, right here. All right, perfect. So you're going to lean in at this point. After you found out their real situation, I'm going to say, so are you, 100% satisfied with the way your fraud stack is set up? So is your management team 100% satisfied with the way your fraud stack is set up? Now, why would I say, are you 100%? Why not ask, are you satisfied? Why? Because no one is 100% happy with anything they have, right? Can I give you an example? Remember when you started dating your boyfriend or girlfriend or your spouse? Remember the first 2 or 3 months where you thought they were perfect? They were angels from heaven. They did no wrong. They were perfect. And then after the honeymoon stage was over, 6 months later, you found out what? There was things you didn't like. See, that's because you're human. No one likes anything 100%. There's always something that they want to change. Are you with me now? So let's say you sold mortgage protection insurance or general life insurance or final expense insurance. We train tens of thousands in those spaces. One company we train has over 27,000 agents, all right? And you find out that Dan doesn't have much coverage. Let's say Dan is the main provider. He doesn't have much coverage. He only has a $70,000 work policy. All right, Anthony, you ready to role play here, brother?
Let's do this.
So Dan, I mean, you've got this work policy. I mean, what's caused you to feel like that's not going to be enough for sending the kids when you pass?
Well, don't get me wrong, having a 50K policy is good, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna last forever, right?
Yeah. I mean, how many months would Cindy to be able to pay the, I guess, the mortgage and all the bills without your income? Mhm.
Probably
Okay.
6 months.
And what happens to her and the kids at that point? Well, let's stop. Now, what type of tone did I use with that question? What type of tone did I use? A concerned tone, a tone that shows empathy. Why would I use a concerned tone? Because now Anthony feels like I'm what? Concerned for the consequences of what's going to happen if he doesn't get the policy. Now, why would I say, so you've already got this work policy? What's caused you to feel like that's not going to be enough? And then he starts telling himself why that's not enough. Now, is it more persuasive for me to tell him why it's not enough? Or is it more persuasive for the prospect to tell me why it's not enough? I think you know the answer to that by now. Okay, let's go to the next industry. Let's say if you sold cars. We train a ton of car dealerships. 401k Auto, biggest used car dealership in Canada. We got them a 253% increase in sales during the pandemic when their stores were all locked down by the Canadian government. I mean, Sally, the Honda you have now, I mean, that's a fairly decent car. I mean, what's caused you to feel like you might want something newer? Well, the reason why is, and now they start telling themselves why they want a newer car. Let's say if you sold merchant processing, I could show this for every industry. We already have this training for Interporos. Let's say if you sold merchant processing, huge industry. I mean, you've been with this vendor the last 4 years. I mean, it can't be all doom and gloom over there. What do you like about what they've done? They start to tell you, then you lean in. I mean, it sounds like things are 100% perfect. What would you change if you could? Well, I mean, it's not 100% perfect, not 100%. Now, did you see what I just did there? This is a disarming technique where I push them away. Why would I say, I mean, it can't be all doom and gloom over there. You've been with them for 5 years. Why would I say that in a playful tone? Because it gets them to laugh and open up. And then they start telling me what they like. And then immediately I say, I mean, it sounds like things are 100% perfect. What would you change if you could? You know what they're always going to say? Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's 100% perfect. Not 100%? Well, yeah, I mean, just the other day, and now they start opening up and telling you what they don't like. Everybody likes the 100%. Everybody with me on this? All right, Anthony. All right, now, hey, some of you asked us a little bit ago. All right, we were asked in the chats that, hey, maybe can we hear from some of the clients of NEPQ, how they applied NEPQ to their industry, how they got results? Now, would it help you if we did that for the next 10 minutes? If we brought out just 3 clients, we have 77,000 plus individual clients like you, like individual salespeople. That does not include all the companies we train, which is just one client per company. And some of those have thousands on our platform. Okay. So I'm going to bring out 3 for you. Is everybody paying attention? Because I'm going to ask them some really important questions to help you in the training. All right. Do we have I'm going to bring out Jim. It was hard to pick 3 out of 77,000. I think I offended 997 other clients here. They're going to get pissed at me. But let's bring out Jim Newcomb, Anna Oliver, and let's bring out Caden Sanchez. I wanted to pick like 3 completely different industries. So I got Jim Newcomb, Caden there. Do we have Anna Oliver? Do we got Anna Oliver over there somewhere? All right, let's bring her out as well. Okay, let's start with Jim here while we're waiting on Anna. Okay. Now, all 3 of you, wherever Anna is here, you're all like in the top 1% of reps in your entire industry. Actually, 0.0001% in your industry, but who's counting? But you didn't start out that way. And so I think that's what everybody wants to know. Like, were you born with these magical sales skills or what actually happened? So, Jim, let's start with you. And Maite, if somebody can get Anna up here, kind of help her maybe get on here. Maybe she's having some technical difficulties. So, Jim, let's start with you. What industry do you train in?
So I'm in the software as a service sort of B2B complex selling environment.
Okay, so SaaS. And
Yeah.
what type of companies, what type of size of companies are you typically dealing with?
So it's actually very interesting. I'm working with everybody from the largest of large. I was talking to a Fortune 500 company this week, all the way down to much smaller, like 50 employee, 20 employee type companies too.
Okay, so kind of all over the board.
Mhm.
All right. Now, you told me, because I've seen you at a couple of events. You've been here probably a year and a half. In the beginning, when you got in the training, because before you got in the training, you're kind of sitting on the sidelines, just going through some of the free basic reels and contents, and you believe this lie. You believe this lie that NEPQ wouldn't work for B2B, because you spoke to these high level executives who you said were all logical, not emotional, just wanted the facts, just demos. You could never ask them challenging questions. What did you find out once you started in the training, though?
Well, it was the darndest thing. As soon as I like leveled up my sales skills, I was like, wait a minute. I now know exactly what to say, exactly how to say it, what the timing, what the verbal pacing. I don't know if you've covered that yet with the folks on, but I now even know how to pace out what I'm saying to manage this person's attention. And they feel like I have equal business stature with them.
Yeah.
And to me, that was just mind blowing when I realized I could do that.
So raising your status.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I was like, wait a minute, I now have higher status. And I also knew the questions to ask to take them under the surface. So all of a sudden, these people that for me used to be very, very intimidating, that I was like, I'm not allowed to ask them a cost of an action or a consequence question. I'm just going to get smacked through Zoom if I even try that. I was like, now, not only can I do it, but they're going to get emotional when they respond. And it was a pretty night and day difference, like pretty quickly for me.
So I've heard supposedly you've kind of moved up in the rankings. Supposedly you're like
a little bit
one rep in your entire company.
Yeah, I may have set some sales records last year. Yeah,
some sales records
sure.
For the whole industry. You get the new BMW. Yeah. Okay, well, I know I heard you traded the BMW for some Ford or something. What's going on over there?
I needed something for the family.
Family. All right, there. All right, let's let's go to Caden, and then we're gonna go to Anna. Okay, so Caden, what industry are you in, my man?
Yeah, B2C, life insurance, like final expense, mortgage protection, and general life insurance, IULs, things like that.
Okay, now we've met you. You've been in the training. I mean, you're like you were like one of our first like 2,000 clients like 5 years ago. You've been here forever. You're still in our training programs, which is crazy. Yeah. Why would you keep learning how to sell more? Like, why not just do it for a year and you're good?
Yeah, there's always another level. And the thing about the training is it's continued to develop and get even better and even better. It's hard to keep up with you, Coach. The amount of books you read and things like that. It's far easier to just let you read them and learn it from you.
I go through all these programs. I don't even really go through sales training programs anymore. It's more psychology, more tonality training, all that kind of stuff, which helps you guys even more. Now, I remember you mentioned to me one time a few years ago that you believed in this lie because you were young when you got into sales. It was like your first thing. You're young, right? You're a young guy, but you believed in this lie that you just needed more time. You needed to get more reps in, more experience, and eventually you would be good at sales. But what did you find when you tried it that way?
Yeah, it was funny because where I was working, everybody who was doing, anything above 20K a month had been there or been in sales for at least 10 years. And so that's just like what I thought. And when I got into the training, I probably still felt that way a little bit, but then I started to catch up quickly. And I was like, this, it was a crazy feeling to be looking at them thinking.
Because within like 6 months, all those vets in your company you're at that took them 10 years to get to that level, you were already doing like double what they were in 6 months. And you're like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay, and you're still learning. I love that. All right, let's go over to Anna. All right, Anna, thanks for being on.
Hey, how are you?
What industry are you in? What do you sell?
I'm in residential real estate.
Residential real estate up in Canada, right? Toronto?
Up in Canada, in Toronto, Canada.
Okay, all right. Now, from what I understand, before you I think this is quite interesting because Jim was, I think you were in the middle of the pack before you got in the training. You weren't doing bad, but you weren't doing great. Caden, you were like down at the bottom of the pecking order, like about to quit because you were trying to figure it out. But Anna, when you got in the training, you were already like one of the top real estate agents in all of Toronto.
Yeah.
And I remember when you got into the training calls, because you got into a really advanced program of ours, you would look at me and you're like, that's not going to work. Or, it would never work for what I sell. And I remember you told me, you're like, I believe in this slide that, hey, I'm already a top performer. Why do I need to learn anything else? Like, I'm already at the top. How could Jeremy teach me how to sell more real estate since Jeremy's never even been in my industry? Like, there's no way he could do that. And what did you find?
Well, I definitely thought that. And then the other thing was there was no way that a man could teach me how to sell properly and how an American could too. So I always found it challenging with those three factors. So I was intrigued and I wanted you to prove me wrong, because the problems that I had in the past with training, and I mentioned before, like I really liked Chris Voss and Never Split the Difference.
You know, Chris
but the
is
challenge,
a friend of mine. I'm going to tell him
Yeah.
that don't be angry at him. All right. I was texting him the other day. I'm helping him find a new sales manager. Don't be mad at Chris.
yeah, I love Chris, but the challenge that I had was to implement what he was saying, how he was saying it with my clients and my personality. And that's why I wanted to see how you could do it differently, and very skeptical. And then I watched some of your free content.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you didn't seem so bad. So I figured there might be something that I could learn from there. And then kind of went down the rabbit hole, pardon the cliche, so to speak. So here we are.
And where did you pop out of the rabbit hole? Because where are you at now?
I'm doing well. My sales have definitely improved. I'm in the middle of an offer right now, so that's why I'm a little bit late, which I'm embarrassed to say. Things are great. The challenge with residential real estate is always our fee. So I've been able to be more confident, more the authority. My commission is never even an option, and I can actually charge more now with just the tonality and then being the authority. So you were right. You're right.
Well, hey, there you go. Every once in a while, it's the only thing I know how to do. You ask me to change my oil in my car, I'd be like, I have no idea. Like, seriously, I gotta get somebody to. But hey, I love it. You were already a top real estate agent in all of Toronto, like top 1%. But now,
Yeah, I was in the top, I think I was in the top 3%, and definitely in the top 1% now, which in my market, there's 75,000 realtors.
congratulations. Top
Thank you.
1%, top 0.1% out of 75,000. Who wants to, hey, type in me if you want to start learning the skills that these three clients are learning. Even now, today, they're still clients. They're still learning how to sell more. All right, guys, I'm going to bring you guys out a little bit later here in the training. So I'll see you guys a little bit. Thanks for sharing. Did that help anybody kind of see, hey, maybe I can learn how to sell more. Maybe what Jeremy's training me would work for what I sell. Okay, we're going to bring them out here in just a little bit more.
See you
All right,
soon.
Anthony. Anthony, let's bring you out here real quick.
Wow.
What's going on here?
Man, how amazing was that? Guys, are you guys picking up what we're putting down? Like, drop a fire in the chat if you guys are realizing the theme here. What's the theme? I said this on day one. Success leaves clues. Are you guys picking up what we're putting down? We're talking people from any different industry. They were once exactly where you guys are. So Anna, Jim, Caden, you guys are rock stars. The chat box is firing. Let me say this, and Jeremy, I'll throw it back to you in a minute. Because one thing I'm picking up, especially when Jim's speaking, because I felt the same way, and Caden and Anna, is this hard time of selling, especially at the beginning. So let me know in the chat, and please be real with me. I'm not going to judge you. How many of you right now, and be honest, how many of you have a hard time with the concept of selling? Be real with me. Let me know in the chat. How many of you have a hard time with selling? And that's exactly how I felt. I was in your exact seat, wearing the same shoes. And the reason it was hard for me when I first started is I wasn't convinced that selling was something good to do to people. I just wasn't convinced.
Yeah.
You know, I thought in my mind that I think society programs us this way, that selling is doing something to people. Does anybody feel like that? Let me know down below. But the wisest, wealthiest man who ever lived, if he were alive today, he would be a multi-trillionaire. He said, if you have something good, you have a moral obligation to sell it to as many people as possible. Who knows who I'm talking about? Let me know down below. Who knows who I'm talking about? Anybody? No, it's not Zig Ziglar. It's not Socrates. They may have said that. It's not who I'm referring to. Someone got it. King Solomon. In Proverbs chapter 11, verse 26, here's what it says. He that withholdeth the corn, the people shall curse him, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. Meaning, if you have something good, you must sell it and not withhold it. Who here believes that they can genuinely help somebody with what they're offering? Be real with me. Who here believes that you can help somebody? Meaning you have a moral obligation to sell it. Would Caden's clients, would Anna's clients, would Jim's clients be better off if they didn't have the skills to sell them, to overcome the problems that they have that's preventing them from solving the issues that they're trying to solve? Would they be better off? Of course not, right? Would Caden, would Anna, would Jim, would myself, would we be better off if we didn't have the skills to learn how to sell? No. So I want you guys to think about that. If you've got something good, you have a moral obligation. This changed everything for me, guys. Selling is serving. So do not buy the lie that Hollywood and the government tries to perpetrate and throw onto us, that when you sell something to somebody, you're doing them harm. Because I'm going to tell you something. I have never, and I fly around with Jeremy. We were just in Vegas like a month ago, picking up an award from the prestigious Selling Power magazine. And we were in a room full of like 200 people. I've never been in a room where one person has impacted that many salespeople to learn a skill to sell more than Jeremy Minor. So when Jeremy says you have to show up and do the work, when we say be a 5-day stayer, the reason this guy is doing so much to get you to do it is because he has a moral obligation to change your family's lives, not just today, but for generations to come. And this guy's doing everything in his power to do that. So that's why it's your moral obligation. So if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, comment obligation if you've just realized that we all have a moral obligation to sell. You guys realize that? Let me know down below. Jeremy?
Because if I don't do that, who will? Who will? All right. Is everybody ready to keep training? Because I've got a lot more to go. Everybody ready? Everybody get your pen and a piece of paper ready. We're going to rock and roll. So let's go to solution awareness questions. Now, these questions get your prospects to see and feel what their future looks like once the newfound problems are solved. And I took some notes here. I don't want to skip anything, but I'm going to look at some notes here. Now, I'm going to give you a generic example of a solution awareness question so you can plug in your industry. And then I'm going to give you 1 or 2 industry specific. Okay? All right. So let's go to that next slide. Okay, so let's suppose that we're able to get you whatever they said they wanted, so that then we're going to repeat back their desired state. What would that do for you? Or what would that do for your business? Or what would that do for your spouse? Depending on what you sell. Now, it depends on your industry what we would plug in those spots. That is a generic frame. Okay, so make sure you take a picture. Very important for you right now. Now, they're going to give you logical answers. It would help grow my company. It would help me have more time with my kids. It would help me save money. It would help me have more room for my family. But do human beings buy on logic or emotion? Emotion, right? So then I'm going to lean in. I'm going to say, being able to do those things, what would that do for you personally? And this question brings out the what? The emotion. Okay? Now, let me give you an industry-specific solution awareness question so you can see what that frame looks like. Let's say you sell health insurance. This is a huge industry we train. Type in health insurance if you sell health insurance. Ever heard of a company called United Healthcare? Second largest healthcare company in the United States. We just did 6 months with them. They're still in our portals as well. They're salespeople. We train their entire Southwest division. Okay, so let's suppose that we're able to get you the policy that has the nationwide network like you like, so that you can pick the best doctors, so that when something big happens to you, you guys are completely covered. Knowing that was there, what would that do for you and your spouse? Oh gosh, it would help us be able to do this. It would help us to be able to do that. We could save money here. Then I'm going to lean and say, but for you, what would it do for you personally? And I lower my tone into that soft tone, that concerned tone. Now, why would I use that concerned tone, a tone that shows empathy? Because that's how the prospect interprets the intention behind why I'm asking the question in the first place. All right, is everybody with me here? Okay. Now, who would want to know every NEPQ question? Who would want to have I'm going to ask you this. Who would want to have every NEPQ question at your disposal and understand how to use them with the right tonality in every sales situation or in, like our clients are who are in the same industry as you. Type in yes in the chat if you would want that, if you feel that would help you sell more. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Consequence questions. Now listen, these are very important for you if you want to close more deals now, because consequence questions get your prospects to defend themselves on why they need to change and change now rather than push it down the road. Now, the cost of not understanding what consequence questions to ask for your industry is you don't get your prospects to internalize what will happen if they don't do anything about solving their problems. Okay? They don't do anything, which means your prospects don't do what? Which means your prospects right now, if you're not asking them, they don't feel much urgency to want to change. And that's why they procrastinate. And that's why you have to chase them down all the time to buy, especially if you're in a complex sale that typically takes months to close. Who feels that you're constantly having to chase your prospects down all the time to buy? Type in me if that's you. And type in me if you don't want to do that anymore, because that would suck, right? Because do they have the problems or you? They're the ones that have the problems, not you. You're the one that can solve them. So why are you chasing them down? Why not learn how to get them to chase you down? Okay. Now, consequence questions, I will tell you, especially if you're in B2B, these can help reduce your sales cycles by 50 to 70%, meaning you close them a lot faster than having to go to meeting after meeting after meeting while they shop around and commoditize you on the price. So I'm going to give you a few generic examples of consequence questions and a few industry specifics. Okay. John, have you considered the ramifications about not doing anything about this? Have you thought about what would happen if your company doesn't do anything about your situation? Now, you're not going to say situation. You're actually going to say what the real situation is, right? This is just generic, okay? Let's go to the next slide, Beth. Have you thought about what would happen if your company doesn't do anything about this? Now, whatever this is, you would plug in this. This is just generic. Are you starting to get this with me? Okay. Now, let me give you an industry-specific example. Let's say you sell solar. Solar is, I think, the 4th or 5th biggest industry in the world we train. And let's say that you're selling deep flow, meaning the homeowner no longer has a power bill. And let's say that homeowner you're talking to is in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. And let's say right after that last solution awareness question, they throw out this objection. Well, Jeremy, what if it doesn't play out like you're saying it will in 3 years? What if my bill ends up being more than $146 a month like you're telling me? Now, what am I going to do here? Oh, don't worry, it won't. That doesn't work that well. I'm going to lean in and say, oh, what would cause it not to work out in 3 years if it's all determined by the sun? Go to that next slide, Beth. Oh, what would cause it to not work out in 3 years if it's all determined by the sun? Yeah, like the sun is just the sun. I mean, we can't make the sun not come up or down, right? The sun just kind of has a mind of its own. It does its own thing. Now, hold on. Do you have some special powers you didn't tell me about where you can control the sun coming up and down every morning? What's going on over there? Okay, now let me go over that again. I want to show you what I just did there. Okay. Oh, well, what would cause it not to work out if it's all determined by the sun? Now, why would I use a confused tone there? Because that causes the prospect to what? That feel like asking that question was pretty silly, because of course in that industry, the bill would be determined by the sun if they were solar, not a power company making them pay rate hikes. And then I transition, say, yeah, like the sun is just the sun. I mean, you can't make the sun not come up and down every day, right? Like the sun kind of does its own thing. It just kind of has a mind of its own. Now, hold on. Do you have some special power, Stephanie, where you can control whether the sun comes up and down? What's going on over there? And I use a playful tone. Now, why would I use a playful tone there? Because when they throw out an objection and I get them to laugh, it does what? It releases what's called dopamine in their brain, which causes them to what? Let their guard down and disarm them. Are we getting this? Does that make sense what I'm doing here? And then I'm going to loop back around. This is called an NEPQ loop, and I'm going to ask this consequence question. Because, I'm concerned for you, because what happens if you guys don't do anything about this? Edison keeps forcing you to pay the rate hikes every year like they have, but now you're 25 years old or 70, 75, so I'm to pay the bill every month, and the bill's where? Yeah, probably 3 times as high, but now you're retired, so you're on a limited income. I mean, how would you pay for it on a limited income at that point. And I lean into a concerned tone. Now, did you see how I loop back with that consequence question that gets him to internalize and question, like, oh my gosh, yeah, in 25 years, my bill is going to be 3 times as high, but I'm going to be retired on Social Security. How am I going to pay it? And that does what? It triggers massive urgency for them to what? Change now, not keep pushing it down the road. Now, are you starting to get this with me? All right. See what I'm doing there? Okay. All right. Those are just a few. I wish I could show you everyone for your industry. Like I said, they're all in our training programs for clients. You know, maybe you'll have an opportunity here because some of you were asking, hundreds of you were asking yesterday, how do I get in your training? All right. All right. Let's go down to the next one. Now, hey, we're not going to go through presentations today. Okay. That would take forever. We do have specific structures for presentation in our virtual training platforms for our clients that you could get involved in if you want. How to write proposals that actually convert. You want to learn how to do that? How to structure a presentation so it connects the emotional dots in your prospect's mind. How to navigate through an entire organization to find out who the real decision makers are and those who influence them. So no more 40 to 50 or 60-minute slide decks where your prospect tunes out and it says at the end, sounds good, let me think it over. Who would want to know how to get your prospects to connect the emotional dots in their mind when you go through your presentation, where they pull you in and start thanking you for you allowing them to pay you to solve their problems? Who would want to know how to do that? Anybody? Yes, me, possibly? Okay. Anthony, turn it back over to you for a second.
Yeah. All right. Are we still alive, everybody? Are you guys done? We could tap out now. I could go for a swim. Jeremy, I don't know. You can't leave your house because it's a bit hot over there. But you guys want more? You guys want more? Dustin wants more. Ryan, Lauren, Barbara, Jimmy, James. All right. Perfect. So remember how we've been talking about the last 3 days about the plan? The plan, you guys remember that? The plan that Jeremy said? The exact plan that he said he would share. You guys remember that? So type in me if you want Jeremy to share that plan with you. So you can't withhold that. That wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be very moral. So type in me. This is the path and this is the plan that Jeremy got into to help him reach the top 0.0001% in the industries that he sold in. And the path that has taken many of our clients, some of who you've heard from today, like Anna, Caden, and even Jim, clients like that get to the top 1% of their industries. So who wants to see it? Type in me. You guys want to see it? You still here? I'm in the right room, Anna. I'm in the right room, right? This is the congruent room, yeah?
Are we in the right room here? Who wants to see the plan that has taken, we're talking thousands of people across the world, many of them in your industry, to top 1% status? Who wants to see the plan? Because are these people the same as you? Do they drink water? Do they eat food? Do they go to bed at night? Do they wake up in the morning? Do they put pants on? Do they have trials? Do they have tribulations? Do they have kids? Yes, they're just like you, except one thing. They now have the plan. They now have the plan that you can have as well. If you allow it, everything can change for you. Now, after we're going to do that, now, Anthony, you got to hold me to this because I'll forget. After I show them the plan, we're going to come back the last 15 minutes and I'm going to train you how to close the sale, how to ask commitment questions to close the sale the last 15 minutes. Who's staying on here the whole time? Because the last 15 minutes, I'm going through closing techniques and how to get the prospect to close themselves. All right. Now, everybody give it up. Beth, we share those slides there.
Jeremy, Jeremy. Also, if they're lucky, we're even going to stay today for a bit of Q&A right at the end. Right at the end, We're going to stay for some Q&A.
Who wants to ask us questions at the end as well? Okay, perfect. All right, so hey, everybody give a round of applause for Anthony here. All right, everybody give me an emoji, a round of applause for our Anthony here, our VP of Revenue. You know, he's over there in Gold Coast. We're about to open up a big office over there. I'm in our Scottsdale, Arizona offices here. It's hot as hell here. It's like 110 degrees, but he has been playing full out. And, you know, Anthony and I were talking, I was probably a couple hours ago, and we were talking about there's never been a group that we've trained, because we have trained tons of big groups, thousands, tens of thousands, but there was never a group that was so hungry, that I could feel were so hungry to learn. So they just wanted to play full out. So comment full out if you are here, to start playing the game of sales full out starting today, right now. Because as we talked about the last few days, success leaves clues. Success leaves what? Success leaves clues, right? You see, smart people, they what? They learn from their mistakes. But what did I say on Tuesday? The smartest people, the top 1% in the world in sales or business, they don't, write this down, they don't learn from their mistakes. They learn from other people's mistakes so they don't make the same mistakes themselves. Let that sink in your head for a second. Why on earth would they do that? Because they're all about speed. They don't want to fail in the beginning. They don't want to wait months or years or decades to try to figure out success themselves through trial and error. Who would want to do that? Now, it's obvious that NAPQ works, right? We have a bit under 23,000 testimonials. 23,000 testimonials that we found, that people have posted, that the most of any sales training company in the world, we have been told. So it goes to say that this will work for you, since we already train reps and companies in your industry, and since it works with human behavior, and you sell to what? Humans. So who would want me to show you the path, the specific training plan we built for you, a plan that took me literally from the worst rep in the company when I started in sales as a 21-year-old kid to the #1 rep in that company and the #1 rep in all 4 industries I sold, 2 B2C and 2 B2B. But most importantly, because who cares about me? The path, the plan that helped our clients. Many of them are in your industry, get into that same top 1% of their company, some of them top 1% in their industry. So type in path if you want me to show you that path, the same path for you, because I have a feeling you didn't come here to learn things you already know, right? You came here to learn things you didn't know. You came here to learn things that only I know. You see, I've spent 24 years mastering this. I'm still mastering this. I've spent 37,000 plus hours, 37,000 plus hours knowledge that I can give you today, right here, right now. Who would want all of it, all of that knowledge, so you don't have to spend the next 12 months, the next 3 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years, trying to figure all of it out yourself, hoping and praying that's going to work out? Because the truth is, how many sales are you leaving on the table every single week? How much money are you losing every week in lost sales because you don't have this plan? Because you don't know everything that I know. Now, you know what's even worse than that? It's the hundreds, if not thousands, of lives of the people you could have impacted, but they didn't buy from you because you didn't have the right customized plan. You didn't have the right questions to ask for what you sell. You didn't know how to use your body language and tonality to disarm your prospects, and because of that, they didn't buy from you. And unfortunately for them, their problems stay the same. They stay in the status quo and nothing ever changes. And who was responsible for that? You, the salesperson, right? Okay, are you ready? So these are the 4 things that you're going to need to know. The first thing is, where are you now? What are you bringing in now on average in commissions every month, or your base plus commission? Get that in your brain. What are you bringing in right now with everything you're making? Number 2, where do you want to be? Okay? What do you really want to bring in each month? You see, every successful person has targets that they are going for. Would we be right? And number 3, why do you want to hit those targets? What is behind you hitting that? But here's what most salespeople miss. Do you remember the very first thing I wrote on the board, day number 1? Do you remember the first thing I wrote when I came out here, day number 1? Look at this question. I said, why are you here? Why did you come here to this training? See, you have to be able to tell people at a moment's notice what type of sales goals you have, what you want your income to be, but more importantly, why you want to turn that music down a little bit. What do you actually want to bring on a monthly basis? But more importantly, why do you want to bring that in? So here's what we're going to have you do right now, okay? I want everybody to grab a pen and a piece of paper. Grab a pen and a piece of paper real quick, okay? And for the next 30 seconds, I want you to write down what you really want to make the next 12 months. So on a pen and a piece of paper, write down what you really want to make in the next 12 months. Now keep it to yourself. Don't post it. Write it on a piece of paper because I want you to keep this. Write down what you want to make once you have the plan, the right customized plan, the right sales skills. Okay? So I want you to write that down. I'm going to give you 20 more seconds to write it down. Go ahead and write it down real quick. Let's turn the music down. Okay, does everybody have that number on your piece of paper? Does everybody have that number on your piece of paper? Okay, now I want you to look at that number, and underneath it, I want you to write down why you want to hit that number now, though. Why is that number you wrote down so important to you now, though? Why is that number you wrote down that you picked yourself, why is that so important to you now, though? Write that down on your piece of paper. Give you 30 seconds. Write it down. Okay, has everybody got it? Everybody getting it? Write down your number and then write down why that number is so important to you now. Now, once you've got that number, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that piece of paper. If you're in your home right now, if you're in your office, if you're in your car, I don't care. Take that piece of paper, hold it up into the air, and I want you to type in the chat, I got it. Type in the chat, I got it. I got it. I got it right here. Type in the chat, I got it. I can sit here all day. Raise that piece of paper, type in the chat, I got it. Am I in the right room here? Okay, I got it, that number right there. Okay. All right, Anthony, I think I'm in the right room. I think we have some very high-level sales pros here that want to level up. Now, what I'm gonna do now is gonna bring out somebody who's been playing full out the last 2 days of the challenge. I'm really excited to introduce this person to you. Her name is Tina. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing the last name right, but Rusin, she was the winner of day 1. Do we have Tina out there? Do we have Tina there? Maite, do we have Tina ready? Where's that Tina at? All right, we got Tina there. Tina, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, great, actually, yes. Thank you for all the effort that you're putting in.
Well, congratulations. What do you sell?
I'm selling digital marketing, like leads to architects that are
Okay, you live in
buying
Croatia, right?
Yes, in Croatia, yes.
Well, everybody give her a round of applause because it's like 1 or 2 in the morning or something over in Croatia right now, and she's still up learning. Look at her. Congratulations. Now, you've been playing full out, and we have something that we want to have you do with this. Are you opposed to doing something cool to help everybody out here?
No.
Okay, all right. Let's pull up that next slide because, Beth, I want you to pull that up here. So I want you, do you see that combination lock right there?
Yes.
Okay. On the other side of that combination lock is everything you've ever wanted, Tina. So I want you to go ahead and give us the code. It's 4 numbers. What's the code to unlock that?
It's 3023.
Good guess. Let's try it. 3023.
Yes.
Okay. Now, everybody in the chats, why can't she open it? Why can't she open the code? Because she doesn't know the code. This is how many of you have been operating and trying to figure out this game we call sales. But no one has given you the right code. All right, Tina, you ready? I'm going to give you the code. The first number of the code is 1. Beth, go ahead and type in 1. Okay? And Tina, go ahead and give us the other 3 numbers of the code.
10 10.
Okay, let's try it. Okay. She still can't open it. Because why? We gave her the number, right? Now, some of you already know the first number of the code, and you're getting what? Average results in sales. But because you don't know the rest of the code, that's why you haven't been able to get where? the next level in your sales career because you only know part of the code. You don't know the whole code. Okay, Tina, you ready for more?
Yes.
Okay, the first number, we're getting better. First number of the code is 1. The second number of the code is 9. Now, Tina, go ahead and tell us the rest of the code.
8, 7.
These are good guesses. Okay, why can't she still open it? Because she only knows 2 of the 4 numbers of the code. So she still can't open it because she doesn't know the entire code. And that's where a lot of you still are. You're making some sales. You might even be making 6 figures or multiple 6 figures a year, but you still can't get to the next level. You still can't hit that number you wrote down on your piece of paper because of why? You still can't unlock it because you don't know the master code. But who does know the master code? Only me. I do. You see, I know the master code because I'm the only person in the world who made the master code called NEPQ. So you ready for the numbers? Ready for the code, Tina? Because on the other side is everything you've ever wanted, that number. Okay, the first number is 1. The second number is 9. The third number is 7. And the last number is 5. Let's see if it works. Okay, congratulations, Tina. She opened the lock and now has everything she needs to get to that number on her piece of paper. Why? Because she now knows the master code. She now knows what I know. I have transferred the master code and that knowledge to her. You see, thank you for helping us, Tina. I'm going to bring you out here in a little bit. Thank you for helping out. That was really good. All right. See, when you have the right code, when you have the knowledge, you have power, right? You control your own destiny. No outside factors can control you. It doesn't matter if the economy is bad, average, or good because you have the sales knowledge and you control if you get paid more. You control if you get promoted. Now, when you don't have the right sales knowledge, you have no control. Outside factors control you, like the economy. For example, if you sell mortgages or real estate or interest rates are bad right now, if you don't have the right skills, outside factors control your results. You sit and watch the news every day and hope and pray that interest rates are going to go down, the economy is going to get better, but you have no control. Your sales results are dependent on things you can't control. But once you learn the right skills, you do what? You have full control. Your results are controlled by you. Outside factors like the economy have zero control over you. Now, type in control if you want that peace of mind where you control your own destiny because you have the knowledge and you have the skills. Okay? Everybody want that control, that peace of mind? Now, we've obviously covered a lot of stuff in just a few hours this week. And I was talking with Anthony this morning. I was talking with Marco, our CEO, and I said, they're just not going to know. They're not going to know. They're not going to know exactly what to do and what questions to ask in every sales situation they're going to be in if we don't train them how to do that. Like everyone knows that 3 or 4 hours is not enough time to train you all of that, for you to retain it and actually know how to use it in your industry in every sales situation you're ever going to be in, right? Yes or no, right? Everybody knows you can't teach a kid how to ride a bike at a seminar. Now, what does that mean? That you don't master selling overnight. You train daily and weekly and monthly and yearly if you want to master it. So how do you take all these stories and concepts and nuances and success stories and make them real for you? Well, it's here. It's the 4th step. It's the customized plan. How will you take what you just wrote down on that piece of paper and make it a reality for you? Not just a wish, not just a dream, but a reality for you. Because we all know the worst time to implement something is when? Someday. Or one day I'm going to do it, right? We all know that. This is an intelligent room. Yes or no? Is this an intelligent room? Yes or no? I mean, you guys see this all the time with your people that you talk to, right? You know, the person that says, one day I'm going to get in shape. One day I'm going to make more money. One day I'm going to get the life insurance policy for my family. One day I'm going to go solar so I can save money. One day I'm going to get better leads to grow the business. One day I'm going to start investing so I can retire. I'll do it one day. I'll get better at this someday is the path that leads to where? Nowhere. Because you know those people or companies that keep pushing it off are the people who are what? They're destined for what? Failure. But that's the people out there. That's not you in here. Not you. This is the smart room. The reason why they're destined to failure is because they keep adding days and months and years to it and they never get there, right? Yes or no? Am I right on that? So now that we know that the best time is now, because it's not a question of when, it's just the question of how do I do it? How do I do this, Jeremy? How do I hit that number on my piece of paper? Is that what you want to know from me right now? Because the training plan I'm about to show you is only available for you right now today on how you can get there right now. So you don't have to keep pushing it down the road like all those other salespeople that always stay at the same level and complain about it. So on your piece of paper, I want you to write down NEPQ 2.0 fundamentals. So on your piece of paper, write down NEPQ 2.0 fundamentals. Because here's what we're going to do for you. You're going to get our NEPQ sales system, newly enhanced fundamentals version. The 2.0 version has a value of $3,997. You're going to get access to all of our virtual training today with your own account. That means you can log in 30 minutes from now and start watching me train you everything. So you do what? You start making more sales. So write this down. How are we going to do that? Step number 1, we're going to train you how to connect with zero resistance. Now, I've showed you a few examples. This has been proven over and over again with a bit under 23,000 testimonials, people in our training program, how we're able to teach you how to eliminate sales resistance so quickly in any sales conversation. Well, one of the things we do, besides just learning the questions to ask for your industry and preventing objections with pre-framing, is we help you master the art of igniting curiosity using your tone, by using what we call NEPQ open looping. That gets your prospects, remember, to pull you in. Just like this client right here, who is a beginner in sales, Rob Moss, okay, who was sitting in the same seat you are now a while ago. And look what he said. He said this was one of the best investments. He said within 8 weeks of going through our NEPQ 2.0 training portal, he said he went from blank to blank, doubled his sales. Now, I'm not going to show you that amount. I'm not going to show you that amount because it's a big number. And you know why I'm not going to show you? Because I'm concerned for some of you. Not many, because this is a high-level room. But there's still a few of you, I can feel it, that somehow don't think you have to do that much, learn that much to get to that level quickly. Now, how did he do it? Well, he just mastered step 1, mastering connecting with zero resistance. He used our intros that we trained him that caused his prospects to immediately let their guard down. Who wants to double your sales like this client did within 60 days from now? Type in double if that's you. You want to do that? Now, step number 2, write this down. It's crucial. We have to get your prospects to understand their real situation. As you know, most of them, when you first start talking to them, don't really know their real situation. So in this part of the training, we're going to train you the right questions to ask that raises your status in their mind. Remember, I showed you a few of those Tuesday, where they view you as the expert, the trusted authority, rather than just another salesperson trying to sell them something. So this part of the training course is going to show you the right tonalities and questions to use that get your prospect to feel so comfortable with you that they lower their guard and go below the surface and actually tell you what's really going on. Because do you notice when you ask questions to your prospects that a lot of them give you vague, generalized, surface level answers? Type in me if you notice that. And then what happens? You lose a sale because they stayed surface level. No emotion was brought out. They just stayed surface. You couldn't open them up. They wouldn't tell you their pain. Once I train you this, that doesn't happen anymore because they start to open up because they trust you. Now, step number 3, this is probably one of the most important steps there. We're going to give you the sales ability, the right questions to find out what's behind your prospects' problems. What's behind, not just the problems, but what's causing the problems, the root cause. How are the problems affecting them personally? Remember, do human beings make buying decisions logically or emotionally? 100% emotionally, right? Brain studies prove that. There's no debate. Every decision you make starts with your emotional side of your brain. I feel like a drink of water because I'm thirsty. I feel like helping you sell more because I like you. I feel like I gotta go to the bathroom because I gotta go. See, every decision you make starts with your emotional side of your brain, not your logical side. And remember, what are the two biggest emotional drivers that causes a human being to want to change? Pain and the fear of future pain. So if we can't help our prospects relive their pain of their current situation and then have a fear of future pain, they feel no need to what? Change. There's that change word. And that's why they give you objections. And that's why they don't buy from you. So NEPQ is going to teach you several unique questions and how to use your tone that causes them to relive their pain and have that fear of future pain. So they want to change now and change with you. Okay, these are crucial for you if you want to double or triple your sales, because if you don't learn them, what does that mean? It simply means you are losing sales that you could be making right now today. Okay, just like this client, Joel Ulster. I could show you thousands of these from the UK. Anybody in the UK here? And there's what he said here. He said, I have location freedom. He says, see you in Bali. Now, what does success mean to you? To Joel, it meant he could choose to do with what he wanted to. Why? Because we trained him in step 3, where he now knows how to get every prospect he talks to emotionally open up to him and relive their pain. What he said there is he had massive debt. He was able to pay off his debt within 90 days, and he posted he did in sales in just 1 day. Now that number is so big, and I'm not going to show you that number. Because once again, I'm concerned that some of you are going to think, I don't have to do anything to hit numbers like Joel did. He just must have got lucky. Now, if you know him, you can always message him and ask him, because maybe he would be open to telling you those numbers, but that's a private thing for him. Type in time freedom if you want to have control, because you have the skills, you have the knowledge, okay? Now, let's go. Quick recap. Step number 1, connect with zero resistance. Step number 2, we're going to train you how to understand the real situation and get them to do it. Number 3, we're going to help you find out what's behind their real problems and them. And number 4, we're going to train your prospects, write this down, how to get them to qualify to you. Yes. How to get them to qualify to you to where they do all the work, rather than you having to do all the work, rather than you trying to qualify to them. Because who has the problems? Do you have the problems, or do your prospect? Your prospect has the problems. So why are you qualifying to them? Because you're the one that can solve their problems with your solution. So why not learn how to get them to qualify to you, right? Because if you don't do that, you have to push and pressure them. And who wants to pressure people anyways? That sounds exhausting. I mean, what happens when you start chasing someone? They run, right? I mean, if we were just training you basic traditional selling techniques that are pushy or high pressure or logical-based consultative selling skills, would we have 23,000 testimonials from clients in the last 4 years? Would we be ranked 7th level, the 3rd largest sales training company in the world right now, and we've only been in business for 5 years if we were teaching you traditional selling skills? Of course not. There has to be a better way. There has to be an easier way, proven by neuroscience. Remember, I went to school for behavioral science, the study of how the human brain makes decisions. That's all I know how to do. I literally don't know how to do anything else. Now type in me if you're tired of being pushy and high pressure and you want to learn, finally, how to get your prospects to sell and persuade and close themselves. Would that be easier for you in your life? Less stress? Or let's go to step number 4. This is the exact reason why this client, Stephen Farrell, who is a veteran in sales, so all you vets out there, you old dogs who've been in sales for 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 years, and he said this. He said, I went through every single sales training program he could buy in the last 10 years, and he said, look, best program I've ever trained under. When I say the best, I mean this program helped me gain phenomenal results. I tripled my sales within weeks. He was already doing well. He thought he knew everything about selling, and now he does triple that amount selling the same thing. What would happen if he let his ego get in his way and thought he knew everything there was to know about sales? What would have happened if he didn't get into NEPQ? he would still be at the level he was 4 years ago. Do you want to acquire that type of sales? Well, type in me if you do. So step by step, let's go to the next slide. Zero guessing. It's all covered from A to Z in the sales process. Everything you will need to learn to sell more. All you have to do is copy our scripts. Now, a lot of you have been asking great questions as well. And I love this group. I love how engaged you are. Seriously, this has been, and Anthony and I said, the best group we've seen for engagement. And we train tens of thousands. Now, Anthony, and I want to ask all of you, should we show you a sneak peek inside our NEPQ 2.0 fundamentals training portal? Should we give you an insider's view? Should we play you a video for a minute that you can actually see the inside? Would that help you if we did that for you? But let's go ahead and play that video real quick. We've got to get into closing. We've got to show them that closing.
Are you ready to do sales differently?
Times have changed. You got to do something.
In these uncertain times, buyers are more skeptical than ever before. But a new model of selling is rising to meet the challenge.
We have to disarm the prospect.
Jeremy Miner, founder of the new model, along with his team at 7th Level, are changing how the game of sales is played. Introducing 7th Level's virtual training platform. That trains and teaches you this new revolutionary way to sell that's changed the lives of over 487,000 sales professionals in over 68 countries.
We're humanizing the sales process.
It's here and it works.
It's the new way of selling and it works. I am proof of it.
This feels so honest, and it feels like what we're doing, it just makes sense. When you think about the old way, you shake your head and just, it's like, why did we ever do it that way?
The new model of selling with its NEPQ method is the only friction-free sales system guaranteed to lift results. Enjoy 24/7 access and state-of-the-art forget-proof software, tailored levels of training at the touch of a button. With over 51 hours of new model tactics, selling is now simple and certain, since it works with how your prospects think and with how they like to buy.
Really draws out emotions.
Finally, a duplicatable sales training system that lets you measure skills, predict results, and raise revenue in any economy. It's the future of selling. It's 7th Level virtual training with Jeremy Miner.
All right, now what I want to do is I want to pull out a couple of clients that are going to help you implement this stuff, that can show you kind of what to implement. Let's stop that video there. We have Jim Newcomb on here. We just had him on the panel. Do we have Jim out there?
I sure do.
There you go. Now, you sell SaaS, okay? And I'm not going to, let's go to that next slide, Beth. I'm not going to show everyone what you posted here, because that's a really big number. Okay,
Yeah.
and I don't like showing big numbers because I really think it's private, right? There's thousands of people on there. Okay, I don't want them thinking they don't have to put any time to learning skills to hit those numbers. But expand a little bit, because, you know, I only gave you a minute, a second. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. You're in B2B, high level. You got in the training, you're like, I don't think it'll work. My prospects are all logical emotionally. What started to shift? Like, you know, just be real with everybody. Like, what started to happen?
I think the most important, there were a couple major shifts that I saw from NEPQ, kind of related actually. As I learned the stages in order, I saw the changes. So the first one, once I really learned to connect, and I began every single sales call where all of a sudden it used to be this, I used to do this upfront contract type thing. It created a ton of resistance, this very stiff, formal atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I shifted to the connecting questions, and now all of a sudden the prospects are totally disarmed. They're open. I can be playful, even with the decision makers, even with these high level business people. I can be playful,
Because
right?
you're on
Break the
Zoom
tension.
with them sometimes with 5 or 6 decision makers. How do you get playful with 6 decision makers and get them fighting where they're like
Yeah.
arguing with each other on why they need to buy?
That was the next thing that happened. I'll never forget at the end of last year. So I did the year, I spent an entire year training. I mean, I'm still doing the training for sure, but it was the end of my first year. And I remember asking, did we cover, I don't know if you covered the rationale question, a very powerful question. And I remember the top two people at this organization fighting with each other to explain to me why it was so important that they purchase this like right now. And I was just sort of sitting there like, well, yeah, a lot of clients would say that, but sorry, but Cindy, you seemed like you wanted to share something too, right? And I was like, and in my back of my mind, I'm like, I can't believe this. Like this would have been unimaginable a year ago, and I'm just like, cool, it's a cucumber, totally in control. So those were the first couple of things, but then it was also in B2B. I'm not just doing one call, right? I was able to use NEPQ to reformat the entire sales process from start to finish. I don't even know if I told you this, Jeremy. I had used NEPQ to figure out exactly how to involve my sales engineer, how to explain our prospect or our process to the prospect so that they were like excited and fighting to go to the next stage.
Who in here sells B2B and your engineer or somebody technical gets on there with you and they totally screw up the sale? See, we're going to train you how to help that never happen again. Jim, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Top salesperson in your entire organization. That's a big company. You're doing well, and you're still learning. I love you, man. Congratulations. All right. Now, the second thing, here's what the third thing I'm going to give you. Okay. We're going to give you access to, this is a training with me. This is called NEPQ phase breakdown calls, and I'm going to do that for the next 12 months with you. Can you imagine if I train you for the next 12 months where you're going to be? Where would you be if I trained you for the next 12 months? This is where every week I'm going to show you examples of NEPQ questions for all industries. I role play those with you where you can hear my tonality in group settings and you can see my body language. You can ask me questions so you can close more. Now, these are live trainings every week. We also record them in case you miss one. You can listen to them all. Would you sell more if I gave you those skills, if I train you for the next 12 months? Maybe. All right, let's bring out another client. We had her out here earlier in the panel. Anna, do we have Anna Oliver out there? I wanted to hear from you a little bit more because I think your story is so intriguing. Real estate agent, already like crushing it, doing really well. Do we have Anna out there by chance? Or she's probably closing another deal. But I remember that she believed in this, like, there's no way Jeremy could train me. Like, I'm the top agent. There's no way I could do it. And then what happened? Then she got 3 to 4 levels higher. 3 to 4 levels higher. Anna, are you on there? Do we
Trying to be.
Trying to be?
Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just can't see you. Let's get Anna out of the spotlight. So Anna, you know, this is awesome. 20 years experience, already a top salesperson. I don't think we can see Anna real quick if you guys can highlight her. But I remember you telling me. I remember you telling me earlier. I remember you telling me earlier on when I met you at a live event, and you were like, you know what? It's not my sales increasing on why this has been so important, but you said something about your quality of life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, before it was hustle, the grind, more calls, more like dialing for dollars, trying to get the numbers in, and I was losing. And the quality of the call, the quality of the client has definitely increased significantly to the point where it's effortless.
Yeah. People are saying, she looks like a real estate agent. I love that. Here's the thing. We talk all the time about making more sales, making more money, but it's the quality of life. No one is ever laying on their deathbed wishing I'd work more hours, wishing they had made more money. They don't do that. They think about the time they had with their spouse, their children, their family, the impact they had. I want that for you. And you know who you guys are out there. You're already working. I mean, Anna, how many hours did you used to work before NEPQ?
7 days a week, 12-hour days minimum. And now I'm improving my golf game, which is a great feeling. And the numbers have gone up and the quality of the client has gone up too. So I'm able to help people at a different price point, and then the fee is significantly, it's been so much easier. So making more money with less time.
So making more sales yet working less hours because you know who you are. You're working. Thank you, Anna, for coming out here. Go close more.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah,
I
I'm
know
in
you
the
are.
car now.
Have
Everyone,
fun.
invest in yourself. Everyone, this is the best program I've ever taken and highly recommend it.
You're too
Bye,
kind.
guys. Gotta run.
So you guys know who you are. You're working 45, 50, 60, 80 hours a week just to get by, just to support your family because you're playing the numbers game. Because you don't have the plan. You feel stuck and you don't know what to do about it. Who feels that way? Who feels that you're just playing the numbers game? You're grinding. You're just grinding to barely get by. Who does not want that to happen anymore? Okay, because that's what I'm going to try to do. Now, who on here, I want to ask you, who on here cold calls? Type in me if you are a cold caller. Let's go to that next slide, Beth, because who believes in the lie? Because let's go to that side. We're going to give them access to the cold calling scripts, okay? Cold calling scripts keep going down, okay? Cold calling scripts has a 297 value, all right? This is where I'm going to teach you pattern interrupting. Remember I showed you a few examples of pattern interrupting on cold calling on Tuesday because who believes the lie that cold calling is dead? That it's just a numbers game, that you just have to do more dials and just grind it out. What if I told you that you don't have to do that once you acquire the skills? Let's go to that next slide. Once I train you pattern interrupting, like I've done with thousands of clients, look what this client did. I went from converting 19% of my qualified leads to appointments to 77%. On top of my closings went from 18 to 33%. The NEQ cold calling script is insane. I was having about 11% of my conversations booked into appointments. After a week of practicing the script, I went to 71%. 71%. Do you believe you can do that if I trained you how to use your tonality and how to pattern interrupt to get them to let their guard down? Anybody want to learn how to do that? Okay, we train in all industries. Now, another thing that we felt was crucial, let's go to the next slide, for you to be able to increase sales today was we got to train you how to close your leads. Who in here calls outbound leads? Or who has inbound leads who books on your calendar? Or maybe you meet them at their home or their business, or maybe you meet them virtually. Do you notice when you ask your prospects you thought were good questions, that a lot of them give you just vague, short answers, generalized answers? I mean, you want to close your prospects right so you make more sales, right? But really, I think, Anthony, more importantly than that, than closing, I think we want to remember something. Look at the words this client says here. Look what Gina Tang says here. And I want to bring Gina out. I asked her to come out here. Look what it did for Gina. Can we pull this client up for a minute here? Look what she posted here. She said, I was #1 nationwide in my company. Let's pull up Gina Tang here, Maite. She said, my income 6 years ago was $83,000. Now, I'm not going to show you the amount she went to. It's a big number because I'm not going to do it because I'm still concerned that some of you, not many, because this is a high level room, it's an intelligent room, but some of you think you don't have to do anything to get to that level. Gina, congratulations. What did it take for you as far as commitment to get to that level where you were the #1 in your entire company out of thousands of reps? How many reps are in your company that you sell for?
I think about 5,000 reps.
5,000 reps, you're #1. And what industry are you in?
I am in annuity and life insurance.
So,
And when I started with the company, originally I'm a network marketing company. But right now I'm focused on sale and help people more. And with your help, you become my legend in my family, and you changed so many lives in my family, Jeremy.
See, that's what I'm talking about, because money aside, look at the lives that Gina is impacting now. She is the #1 rep out of 5,000 reps in her entire company. Look at the life she now gets to impact. Why does she get to impact so many lives? What's the one thing that she now has that impacts all these people? What's the one thing? It's her skill level. Now, would Gina have been better off not investing into NEPQ 2.0 and staying at $83,000 a year as a single mom of 4 kids? Would she have been better off not investing, just staying at the same income, getting by with her 4 kids? Or was she better off investing in her skill level? Was she better off? Gina, thank you so much for being on here. I'm going to see you at the next event. Congratulations. I just want to tell you, when I met you 6 weeks ago at that live event, you really did something to me. I really appreciate you. You're a legend in my mind.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeremy. I will see you soon.
Thank you. I'll see you in Atlanta.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, I love Gina. She is like, out of the tens of thousands of clients that I've met, she has got to be like one of my favorites. I just love her. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap this up here in a minute in a bow for you with the plan. We're going to show you how to close. We're going to show you commitment questions. But one thing we felt you really needed to get to the next level, and this is going to start next week. Let's go to the next slide, is we're going to give you access to our NEPQ boot camp. This is going to be an intensive training where we're going to start training you the NEPQ process now. We're going to let you role play with our sales trainer so you start to master this. This will start next Tuesday and Thursday, and these are live and recorded in case you miss those. Now, do you want me to give you one more thing to help you get to the next level in the plan? Do you want me to give you one more thing? Because I'm going to give you the NEPQ newly enhanced 2.0 Black Book Bundle, the entire thing. This is a second version. We just released this about 8 weeks ago. It has 243 additional NEPQ questions that have never been released before. Anything from inbound leads to outbound to proposals to board meetings to door-to-door to cold calling to B2B, getting the decision maker, it's all in here. So when you enroll, we're going to give that to you for free, the entire bundle. Now, I will warn you, if this is all you have, these are just questions. Can I give you a warning? Without understanding how to ask the questions with the right tonality and the body language, how would you be able to sell way more? Because how could you learn tonality and body language from words in a book? You can't. That's why the virtual training platform is critical if you want the skills to hit the numbers that you wrote down on that piece of paper. In fact, it helps people like this. Let's go to the next slide. Joseph Froberry. And I don't want to show you his numbers because these are insane. Who in here sells solar? I don't want to show you the numbers. Like, these numbers are so big, you wouldn't even believe them, okay? And you guys can ask him. If you know Joseph, you can always message him, and maybe he would be open to telling you what his personal income is. But it's his private business, okay? Joseph, let's bring out Joseph real quick. I love this guy. I wanted to ask him a question real quick because I think it's really important for some of you. Roberry, how are you, man?
It's so good, Coach. So good. Love to be here.
Okay, so you sell residential solar. Now, you told me, because I met you at this last event here, you told me that when you got into sales several years ago, you told me that you know, hey, I look this certain way, like you're a big dude. You're like 6'5", like just mammoth, like you're just a big teddy bear. And you thought that because of that, you wouldn't be good at sales. You believed in the lie that you were going to have to work really, really hard to make up for that, that hard work alone would make you successful. But what did you find by just only working hard without skills?
Oh my gosh. I didn't have a life. I was like average in one area, and every single other area of my life, I didn't have a life. Literally, it cost me relationships. I was engaged, man. Like it cost a lot, and it wasn't cool. I was like in really good shape, and then I went to like a dad bod, and even though I wasn't even a dad, you know, and so like, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And I thought, yeah, I mean, growing up in Idaho, like work hard, you know.
Yeah, you worked hard, and you said you worked like 6 or 7 days a week, like 12 hours a day or something crazy.
Oh
and
gosh,
really making it.
Yeah, yeah, knocking 6 days a week. Took 7 days off, but like 9 to 9, 6 days a week, just go.
9 to 9. So now, what type of hours do you work, and what type of level did you get to?
Oh my gosh, it was such a life changer. I worked like 5 to 8 is when I'll go out and knock, and then yeah.
So 3 hours a day. Had a nice week, sold 11 deals in 5 days. 8 were solid, meaning they got installed. On the 8 deals, my commission is You guys do the math. Those are big numbers. Joseph, I don't want to give them those numbers because I don't feel some people would believe how big those numbers are. All right, man. I love you, dude. Congratulations.
Love you too, Coach. Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
All right. Well done for you. So here's what we're going to get. We're going to get the training package. We're going to put all together for you, all the skills. Remember, we're going to give you the NEPQ 2.0 Fundamentals Portal. I'm going to train you the next 12 months on how to tie it into your industry and group settings. We're going to give you the advanced cold calling scripts if you cold call, which we train you how to do that. If you call leads or inbound leads or outbound, we're going to show you to do that. We're going to give you access to the boot camp starting next week. The whole black book bundle, all of that has a value of $11,682. Now, can I ask you a question? Let's say worst case scenario, you only use 30% of this training. Do you feel you could make your money back in the next 3 or 4 months, worst case, if it only helped you make an extra 1 or 2 deals a week? Would it be worth investing $11,000 in your skill level to only make an extra 1, 2, or 3 sales a week in B2C for the rest of your life? Or if you sell B2B and it only costs you to make an extra 1 or 2 sales a week extra for the rest of your life, would it be worth to invest $11,000 one time into your skill level? Would it be worth it? Yes or no? Would it be worth it for the rest of your life to have those skills? Because guess what? You don't even have to invest that much to learn those skills. Today, only for you, we're going to drop that all the way down to $4,997. That is over 58% off today. Now, the question is, why are we being so generous? Like, why are we doing this for you? Well, one, I actually really like you. I think you're freaking awesome. I love this group. And because the question is not whether or not this is going to work for what you sell. Everyone already knows it does. We have 23,000 testimonials plus. We train 161 industries, including yours. We already have clients in your industry already doing this. You see, the smartest people in the world, I think you all agree, since this is a high-level room, they know that they take what's called calculated risk. Do you know what that means? The smartest people like you know that there is a difference in purchasing something compared to investing in something. You know what that difference is? Listen, write this down. This is important to you. An investment in your skill level as a salesperson does what? It continues to what? Make you sales forever. A purchase like buying a cup of coffee at Starbucks gives you a high a few hours and then it's gone forever. But investment in your skill level keeps on giving you returns for the rest of your life. Because if all this did, let's go to the next slide, was give you a few extra questions to increase your sales and give you the promotion and recognition that you know you deserve, would it be worth it? Would it? If all this did was help you bypass all that rejection and sales resistance you're going through right now, where prospects hang up on you, causes you to feel stress, you're frustrated, they ignore you, they ghost you. If all this did was cause you to go through that where you didn't have to go through that anymore, would it be worth it? Would it? I mean, if all this did was allow you to connect deeper with your prospects where they trust you, where you finally feel comfortable in sales, would it be worth it? Would it be worth it? So because I'm here today, we wanted to do something very special for you. Because you guys have been so engaged, Anthony, I agreed, our board of directors agreed, because you've showed up, you showed you're committed to change. You've showed it. I know you're on day 3 because you're wondering what would it be like for me to train you daily. Would I be right? Is that why you're still here right now? Because you want to know what would it be like if Jeremy trained me daily and his team. So instead of you having to pay what everyone else pays, because we are confident once you log into the portal today, you're going to start learning the skills to get to where? Remember that thing you wrote on your piece of paper? Is that what you want to get to that number? So once you make an extra 10 sales from this training that you can track, so 10 more sales extra from this training, on top of what you're already doing, if you agree to send us a video testimonial of what the results you're getting from the 2.0 portal, has to be video, can't just be posted. We already have a little bit under 23,000 posted written ones that clients have posted that we found. So it has to be video because I want you to be our next testimonial. This is why I get up every day to do this. This is why I came out of retirement to do this for our clients, to get them these skills. Just like all these other clients did. I could show you thousands of these where we would be on here for months. I don't want you to bore you to death. Who in here would do that for us once you make an extra 10 sales from the training portal if we did something special for you? Who in here would do that? Because if you're willing to do that for us, we're going to give you what's called an NEPQ scholarship. Who wants a scholarship? Anybody want a scholarship? Type in me if you want a scholarship. Because with an NEPQ scholarship, when you send in a video testimony, the results you are getting, we are going to take another 50% off. Now, let's stay right there. This has to be an honor system. Now, we know that you can learn the skills to help you make more sales. We see it in our clients all the time. So if you send in that video testimonial, you don't even have to wait. Originally, we were going to do this for $49.97. And when you send in that video testimony, we were just going to refund you $2,500. But we are so confident in this group today, we are going to give it to you right now. You can save another $2,500, more than 50% more off, and you can get started right now for $2,493 right here. You just got to go to getnepq.com. The link is on your screen. Type it in your browser. That's all you have to do if you want the plan, the skills that takes to hit the number you wrote down. What's the number you wrote down on the piece of paper? What is that number? Now, we are only here to help you. And I'm going to go over commitment questions here in a minute and show you to close. It's our job as a sales training to do what? Help you learn the skills, right? We don't have salespeople or companies that come to us and say, Jeremy, I want to sell less. They want to learn the skills to what? Sell more, right? I mean, do we have a moral obligation to help you get in the training so you get the skills to sell more? Do I have the moral obligation to get you into the training so you can sell more? Yes or no? Do I have the moral obligation to do that? Yes or no? So on top of everything else, there's one more thing. If you don't have the full funding today, we will let you put down $997 today. We'll let you do that. And then 2 additional payments of $997. We want to help everybody on here, the thousands that are on here. So you got 2 options, okay? You can put in the $24.93 in full today, okay, which is probably what 80 to 82% of our clients do because they want to save the $500. Or if you don't have the full funding today, to help you out, we'll let you put down $997 today and then 2 additional payments of $997. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Is everybody okay with that, to have the plan? Would you make more with that plan if I'm training you for the next 12 months? Now, one thing I'm also going to do, last thing, just to make sure all of you can actually stop losing sales that you should be making. Now, Anthony, when did you say this deal and discount was going to last for? How long were we going to give it to them? How long?
We're going to give them till Friday at 11:59 PST, just before midnight. So Friday, 11:59 PST is when it's
We're going to
over.
get you Friday to get the discount. That's it. Friday at midnight Pacific Standard Time. This is a container for you guys, and it's time to what? Today is the day. Not one day I'm going to learn how to sell more. Today is the day, right? Right? So we're going to give you the keys of the kingdom. For the first 103 of you, write this down. Only 103 of you. We probably already have 30 to 40 of you that have already done this. We're going to give you the newest training course that we released about 10 months ago. It sells on its own as a separate product for $2,400. Okay, it's separate from our portals, our 3.0 Pro portals, our advanced inner circles. It's the objection obliteration course, top 50 objections, and all of the scripts for the top 50 objections that you lose deals from right now. Who wants this right now? Like, I'm the one who wrote this. I'm the one who wrote this. This is what I wrote, battle-proven scripts of me being in the trenches when I was in sales like you. This is what our clients are going through right now. This is why many of them that are in your industry, they are outselling you. It's not because they're cooler than you. It's not because they wear hip clothes or have cool hair. It's because they have what? The knowledge now, the master code. Okay, so for only 103 of you, not 104. So you got to move quickly if you want these skills like our clients who are in your industry. I mean, look at this next page. Look at all these objections that I cover on this next slide. Look at all these. Pick out 2 of those that you lose the most sales from every single week. What are the top 2 objections on this page that you lose sales from every single week, week after week? I need to talk with my spouse. I need to think it over. I'm too busy. I need to pray about it. I need to take this to the board. I'll get back. Too expensive. Go to the next slide, Beth. Which are the 2 biggest objections you lose sales from this one. Type in the chat, which are the two biggest ones that you lose sales from every single week? Congratulations, James. I've seen a lot of you already getting in here. 103 of you, that's all I'm going to do. Now on this slide, okay, look at the top two biggest objections. How many sales do you feel you're losing every week? Beth, let's go to that next slide. How many sales do you feel you're losing like every single week because of the first four objections you saw there? Post that number in the chat. How many are you losing every single week? Because when you get access to the objection handling course in the fundamentals course as well, you get to log in. You're going to see me on video showing you the right language patterns, reframing techniques. I showed you a few of those yesterday that I used to make millions of dollars a year in commissions as a rep like you. And you're going to watch me and do exactly what I do. If you watched me how to do all that, would you sell less than you are now? Yes or no? If you watched me how to overcome every single objection, would you sell less than you are now? Yes or no? Right? Now, Anthony, should I tell them a story real quick before we show them how to ask closing questions, commitment questions on
Before you do, Jay, and we're about to do some more training, team, can we just pause the chat a second? Some people are still asking for the link. I don't want any spam in the chat. So if you're posting spam or spam links in the chat, guys, we need to protect our community here. We will have to pause the chat. So pause the chat. The only link you see there is the link you want to click. And also, some of you are saying, I still can't do that. Would it help you if we allowed you to do a funding application to see if you're eligible with some of our third-party lenders to get the funding to get in the program?
Yeah, we have third-party.
That help some of you?
Yeah, we have third-party lenders that actually loan funding for you to help you get in the training because they know it works. It's really good. But hey, I wanted to tell them something because it reminds me of our first B2B client. Has anybody ever heard of a search engine called Google? Anybody ever heard of a search engine called Google? Because we trained 3 of their divisions, about 450 reps. That was our first company client 6 years ago when it was just me and my assistant, Beth Jolly. And now we have like 195 employees on our staff. So someone referred me to them that they trusted. They had heard of my success. They probably thought I was just a dumb kid. I mean, why would they need sales training? They already do billions a year. They bring me into their offices. This whole building, glass for miles, very intimidating. And one of the first questions I asked was this. I said, walk me through. I'm in a boardroom with 8 decision makers, all like MBA from Stanford's. You know, they were all in like their mid-20s, late 20s, very smart. I said, walk me through. If I came to work for you today as a new salesperson, what would my sales training look like? Oh, well, we train them on cloud services and AdWord accounts and how to get people leads. I'm like, no, I didn't mean like product training. I meant like, who's training them what to say? Who's training them what to ask and training them how to use their tone to get their prospects to let their guard down and emotionally open up? And they're like, oh, we don't do any of that. And I'm like, oh, you don't train them how to do that? And basically, at the end of the day, they said their salespeople were educating their prospects about their products and services. And they were just winging it, hoping and praying the name Google would cause everybody to want to buy. But then about 25 minutes in, one of the directors, he slapped down his hands on the table. He goes like this. He's like, we're in. We're in. But and then he's like, but man, we've already allocated our training budget for the year. We're going to have to wait and do this next year. See, if you're in B2B enterprise, it doesn't matter if a company has billions. Sometimes they only have approved budgets and they have to wait to the next year. Now, this was in early September. They wanted to start in January, in the middle of January. That's 5 months away when they got the new training budget. Now, do we believe that a sale is going to happen 5 months later? No, of course not. So I knew I had to help them overcome their concern for them. Because if I didn't, they would what? They would stay in status quo, nothing would change for them, and they would keep losing millions a month in sales that they could have been making if I trained them. So I started helping them see from my questionability that they were also losing about 30% of their salespeople every quarter in those divisions. And it was costing them about $300,000 a month to rehire, to onboard, to product train. And after 10 to 15 minutes of me probing deeper, they were sweating. You could feel the internal tension in that room. Like, I'm not kidding. Their body language, they were just like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even know we were losing that much money. And I simply asked them this comparative frame. Write this down. I said, well, you guys tell me, I mean, I mean, it doesn't really impact me if you don't get in the training, but for you guys, which is more risky? Is it more risky for you to get the funding from another department and your reps learn the skills and the right tone so that we increase our sales, let's say worst case by 20% in those divisions? Or is it more risky for you guys to do nothing at all over the next 5 months and you keep losing 300 grand a month, which is 1.5 million, and the situation gets worse? Like, in reality, which is more risky? And I remember it's like imprinted in my brain. The VP, she looked at me and she's like, that's right. And she hit the conference button to some tele thing, and she started asking another division to get funds. 5 minutes later, they were asking me for wire directions. Now, of course, I had to go back a few days later, build out a plan for them, a proposal, had to go through their legal department to get approved, but they even sped that up. 2.5 weeks later, they wired those funds in our account. That was a 2-call close with the Fortune 100 company that wired the funds within 30 days. Let me repeat that. 2-call close with the Fortune 100 company in less than 30 days. Now, for all my B2B salespeople out there, you've been taught the lie that you are supposed to accept in your industry long sales cycles, takes months or years to close deals. Not really. It takes the right sales ability to build a massive gap from where they are to where they want to be, where they will quite literally thank you to send you money to solve their problems to get them where they want to be. Now, type in a fire emoji if you want to acquire that type of skill set, because they paid $88,000 for 12 hours of classroom training. That was before we even had virtual training platforms or clients like we have now. Now, I don't know, if I didn't know how to resolve their concerns, I wouldn't have been able to solve their problems. And that was up to me to do. Just like if you're not able to help your prospects to overcome their objections, whose fault is that? It's yours, right? Have you thought about how you're holding your prospects back from solving their problems and getting what they want because you haven't been trained the right plan yet? Anthony, can I ask everyone on here before we get back into the training? Can I ask everybody a question here? Type in the comments if I can ask you a personal question without you getting angry at me. Type in yes if I can ask you a personal question without you getting angry with me. Okay, can I ask you why you haven't been willing yet to acquire the sales ability so you can learn how to sell 2 or 3 times what you are now, so you can help your prospects get what they want? What's been holding you back? You see, we're not willing to do that for our potential customers. But the question is, are you willing to keep doing it to yours? Who wants to change all of that right now? Who is like, I'm going to change all this now. I'm no longer willing to accept not having the skills so I can make more sales for me, my family, my company, the charities, my church, and most importantly, for your prospects who have problems that you can solve. Comment change in the comments if you are willing to do the training so you can get there. Because do you want to know the results? We got those 3 divisions for Google. Look in the green. We got them a 244% increase in sales in those 3 divisions within 90 days. It made them a bit under 106 million more in sales that year in those 3 divisions. Was it worth the $88,000 they invested to make an extra 106 million in revenue the next year? Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Okay, so as we wrap up here, remember what you're gonna get. The NAPQ sales system, let's go to that last slide. The phase industry breakdowns, I'm gonna do that for 12 months. Cold calling, I'm going to train you how to cold call. I'm going to train you how to call leads. I'm going to train you how to do inbound and boot camp next week. Black Book of Questions. I'm going to give you the word for words objection. Now remember, I'm only doing that for 103 of you, the first 103 of you. Anthony, I don't even know if we have any left. We might already be at 103 right now. And I'm going to give you the whole objection obliteration course valued at $15,142 for only $2,493. That's it. Or $997 today, and then 2 additional easy payments. Because I was once in your shoes as we wrap up here and we train you here back in the fall of 2001 after my first year in sales. Have you heard me say this? Because I read a book that 93% of all communication was in your tonality body language. Type in me if you've heard of that. And I had the opportunity to be trained by one of the top acting instructors in all of Hollywood. The same guy who taught Leonardo DiCaprio. Type in me if you've heard of Leo. Well, I wanted to hire him, but it was going to cost $120,000. This was my second year as a salesperson. Imagine, I was 22. That first year, I had barely made six figures, but I knew for me to get to that next level, I was going to have to master tonality and body language. It wasn't trained in any sales training courses. And I remember I was so nervous to invest that much that I went to my bishop of my local church and I asked him what he thought. And he asked me this question. He said, Jeremy, do you believe that a person who has knowledge and skills that you do not have, that is more successful than you are, can teach you that same knowledge? I said, yeah, for sure. We said, Jeremy, what are you thinking? God feeds the birds. I remember this. It's always imprinted. God feeds the birds, but he doesn't drop worms in their nest. He said, Jeremy, God is not just going to magically gift you these skills. He's providing you with somebody who has